Clark. This is Evette Bonfield Beecher. With me is Miss Lindsay. I'll be doing the clinical observation, supervision with her. Miss Lindsay, good afternoon.
I am fine, thank you. And you?
I am not too bad at all, maybe a bit nervous. How about you?
The same. I am
You are nervous.
a little
We will get through this. All right. Okay, Miss Bonfield, I spoke with you already that I'll be doing an observation with you. This afternoon, we will be doing the pre-observation conference. So that's why we are here this afternoon. All right? In this session, we'll get some information from you having to do with your class and what we will be looking at when I come to observe you.
Okay.
All right? Now we're going to start off, Miss Lindsay, with our pre-observation form. I have some questions that I'm going to ask you, and I would like for you to answer me honestly. Promise me you will?
Yes, ma'am, I will be.
All right, good. Now, my first question is, not really a question, it's a statement I'm putting to you. And it says, briefly describe the students in this class, including those with special needs.
My class consists of students that are tactile learners as well as visual learners. They are very talkative. They sometimes have difficulty grasping concepts. Sometimes I have to use mainly hands-on or visual things in order for them to grasp concepts or to better understand concepts.
Tactile than visual or what?
The majority of them being tactile learners. They learn by doing things. They have to be engaged or else I'm going to lose them. They may disrupt the class and may disrupt other classes.
All right, so you're pretty active in class.
Yes.
To ensure that learning takes place. All right. My next question, Miss Lindsay, is what are the goals for the lesson, that particular lesson that you'll be doing for me?
The goals are for students to master the concept of division and to be able to apply it in real life situations. I also want for my students to be able to use manipulatives to show their understanding of concepts. I also want them to use a variety of methods in order to solve problems.
Okay, not sounding bad at all. Now, what do you want the students to learn?
I want the students to basically learn how to share things in a variety of proportion. Regularly, students, especially at this level, they sometimes have difficulty in sharing things. So I want my students to be better able to share things.
I mean, they are a bit selfish, that sort of thing?
Yes. And since they are young, we know some of the problems that they encounter.
All right, Miss Lindsay. Why are these goals suitable for this group of students?
The goals are in line with the curriculum, which is used as a guide for teachers in Jamaica.
Now, why is it suitable? Why are the goals suitable for this group of students?
The goals are suitable, because I want to prepare my students for regular activities, day-to-day activities, as well as other things that they'll do in mathematics, mainstream mathematics. So it's like preparing them for things that they have to come.
Okay. All right, we are going on. Now, how do these goals support the district curriculum? That is our curriculum that we use, the government curriculum.
As I said earlier, they are in line with the curriculum, and it will also prepare students for different aspects of things that they will do in their day-to-day lives.
Okay. Now, you think the content standard is manageable for them? Is it suitable?
It is a little bit challenging for them, but what I ensure that I do is I modify it in order to accommodate them.
Okay, very important that you do that. My next question is, how do these goals relate to broader curriculum goals in the discipline as a whole?
I think I have this answer twice. It will prepare them for mainstream mathematics as well as other subject areas, because as we know, mathematics can be applied to other subject areas as well as other day-to-day activities that they do. So these goals will prepare them not just for mathematics, but pretty much for everything.
Everything in life, eh?
In life, yes.
Alright, so it comes in the different disciplines that you teach.
Yes.
Alright. Now, how do you plan to engage students in this content?
It consists of a set of tactile as well as visual learners. I will incorporate hands-on activities as well as group activities in order to accommodate all the students. Because as I said earlier, if they are not engaged, I am going to lose them, and I don't want to lose them, especially my boys, that I'm having a little bit of challenge with currently. So I'm using some rigorous methods in order to grab them and keep them intact.
Okay. I heard you. Now, what will the students do? You told me about the materials you'll be using. What is it that they are going to be doing?
Be doing different group activities. I will provide clear instruction. They will go ahead and try to solve problems independently as well as in their groups in order for them to better able to grasp the concept.
Okay, so did you talk anything about using any basic materials of such? We're not ready for that.
No,
not ready to tell me about that. All right. Now, what difficulties do students typically experience in this area?
With application and transferring knowledge. They often master the strands of division, but when it comes down to transferring or applying it to regular division, they sometimes have problems. So I am going to ensure that I cover all the facts, the division facts, that is, before moving on into division itself.
Okay. How do you plan to anticipate these difficulties?
I have several activities to keep the students going, ensuring that I have activities to cater for those who are visual learners as well as those that are tactile learners to keep them going.
All right. Now, what instructional materials or other resources, if any, will you use?
I will be using counters as well as activity cards in the lesson.
Now, Ms. Lindsay, how do you plan to assess students' achievement of the goals?
By using oral assessment, written assessment, as well as observation.
All right. Now, what procedures will you use?
In the observation, I will go around and observe groups. Based on the instructions they were provided, how are they carrying out the different tasks? I will do oral assessment by questioning students about whatever it is that they were taught, to see how they can provide feedbacks to see if they have grasped the concept. The written assessment, that will be individually to see if students understood what they have been taught in order to apply to different situations that they are provided with.
Okay. My final question, Ms. Lindsay, is how do you plan to use the results of the assessment?
Based on the findings of the assessment, I will decide if it is a case where I can move on, if I need to reteach. If it is a case where I need to reteach, I will ensure that I go back through my lesson thoroughly, look at the instructions I gave, observe carefully the different activities, and see if they catered to the different learning styles in order for them to grasp the concept. So I will revisit my step-by-step procedures and then make some adjustments in order to go back and reteach so that my students can learn.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lindsay. Ms. Lindsay, we need to agree on a few things for observation. One is, what is going to be the focus of the observation? What do you think?
I think it should be on the teaching strategies.
Very important.
Yes.
What about a classroom environment? Think it's something we could focus on too?
Yes, it could be, but I think more importantly, the behavior of the children.
That comes in the teaching environment.
Yes.
We'll look at your behavior and the students' behavior too. So that is agreeable?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Anything else you think we want to focus on, or just those two?
Just those two
Just
areas.
those two. All right, I'll go with you. Now, I am going to be using some data collection instrument, and I really want for us to work together on this, in agreeing what we're using. One of the things we could use, and tell me if you agree, is a checklist. Is that all right with you?
Yes, that is perfect.
That is all right.
Yes, ma'am.
As also, we'll be doing observation. So observation is going to be one of the method. Fine with you?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I think that's about it. Just so that you know that when I do the observation, it's going to be about 30 minutes long. 30 minutes. Good?
Okay.
Now you need to tell me, let us work together here. Which of the days you want me to come in and observe you?
Monday, the 24th of March is fine for me.
All right, I'll be there on Monday and we'll decide on a time, possible Monday. And then after that, we will talk about post-conference. All right, thank you so very much, Ms. Lindsay, for participating.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Conference. And then again, after, when we do the observation, we will decide. I won't do it the same day. I'll give you some time to get your thought together.
Okay.
All right? I think that's about it. So when you want to give me a date for me to come in and observe you?
Monday coming is fine by me.
Fine with you on Monday.
Yes, ma'am.
So it means that I will see you on Monday, Miss Lindsay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right? And thank you very much for agreeing to allow me to sit in the session.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, students and teacher.
Good afternoon, Miss Teacher.
How are you?
Thank you, and how are you?
I am great. Listen, I'm going to be sitting in with you. So, I'll be at the back. Please do not look at me, behave as if I am not here. Thank you very much.
Playing a game, and then you're going to come up with the topic. Alright? How many spaces do I have on the board? Let us count them.
1, 2, 3,
be providing letters in order to come up with the topic. No. For the first letter, it's the first letter in the word dog.
D.
Don't shout. Yes, Shannon, I saw your hand first. D.
I know.
The next letter, you know what it is?
No.
Alright, let's go. The next letter is the second letter in the word big. Yes, I. Some persons are shouting. The next letter is the first letter in the word van.
V.
V. Anybody want to solve the puzzle? Don't shout. Yes, Chanel? No, you're close. Alright, let us go again with some more letters. The next letter is the first letter, put your hands down, the first letter in the word insect. It is I. Don't shout, and I told you that already. Yes? Division, very good, give me my clap. Alright. Now, today we're going to be doing division. Let us look at this chart. Alright, let us read now.
Division means to share, to divide, to put in groups or sets.
And I know you can do it better than that. Let's go.
Division means to share, to divide, to put in groups or sets.
No. So today we're going to be doing sharing. Alright? Everybody have counters, right? Yes. Everybody have counters, and we're going to be sharing. Alright? Now take out 8 counters. Quickly. Leave the counters in the middle and then pull out 8. Everybody do that. So push the others to the side. Good. Everybody have 8. If you have 8, raise your hand. If you have 8, raise your hand. Some persons don't have 8. Alright, hands down. Now, look at the charts again. Let us look at the chart. When we are dividing, we have a symbol. This one right here. This one means to divide, right? This sign here, once you see it anywhere, you know that it means that you should divide. Very good. Now, we have a number, then the sign, and then another number. The first number here is called the dividend. It is called the dividend. The number after the sign is called the divisor. And then the answer that you get is called the quotient. Say quotient. So the first number is the dividend. Then after the sign we have the and then we have the very good. Now the dividend tells us the number of items we have in all. Now, how many items you have in all? 8. Very good. So that 8 represents your what? It represents your dividend. It represents your dividend. Good. It represents your dividend. Now, I am going to be giving you a divisor. Your divisor is going to be 2. Now, your divisor tells you the number of items that should be in each group. The divisor tell you what?
How many numbers in each group?
No. So your divisor is 8 and your dividend is 8. I'm going to give you the divisor to be 2. So group in groups of 2 for me now. Yes, from that 8, you're going to be grouping in groups with 2. So do that for me now quickly. Separate them so that I can see them. So from that 8, you're going to be grouping in groups with 2. Yes. Separate yours so that I can see it. Put them together. I don't see yours. Put them like this. Let me see yours, Jaquan. No, look at this one. Let me see yours. You have 6? Alright. Let me see yours. Alright, now, what is your quotient?
4.
4. Very good. Your quotient is 4. Now, look at this example that we have here. Read for me now.
How many groups of 2s can we get from 12?
And here we have 12. And how many in each group?
3.
3 in each group. And we have how many groups?
4.
4 groups. Now, listen and tell me this one now. What is our dividend?
4.
What is our dividend?
4.
Look carefully.
12.
3, no. On the board. We're using the one on the board. 12. Very good. Remember, the dividend tells the number of items we have in all. Remember, here we have how many items?
3. 4.
Listen again. How many things we have in all here? 12 things, right? And we have them in groups with how many in each group? 3 in each group. And we have how many groups? 4 groups. Alright? Let's do another one now. How many groups of 3? Are you listening? How many groups of 3 can we get from 15 counters? So take out your 15 counters quickly. So we have 15 counters. Don't get up. Just raise your hand if you don't have it. Quickly. What's on time now? Share this. What's on time now? Alright, so count out your 15 now. Everybody at 15? You're a little bit noisy. Left hand up and snap. Down, right hand up and snap. Alright, hands up and down. Put your hand down. Do your counting out now. You need how many again? How many we need? You're not hearing. How many we need? How many groups? How many we're going to put in each group? Do that for me. I'm coming around to look. How many are here? 3. 6. Nobody gets up. 6. 6. raise your hand. Some persons are talking. Let me see what you have now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let me see yours. Which one is yours? These right here? Let me see yours. Take some of his counters though. Let me see yours. Let me see yours. Good. You have how many? Remember how many should be in each group? How many should be in each group? 3. Alright. Let me see what. No, separate them. Separate them. Separate them. Separate them so that I can see. Yes, ma'am. Quickly now, you're working a little bit too slow. Anybody else? Right here. Let me see yours. I can't hear it. Alright. Let me see. I came here already. Let me see yours now. Alright, let's try again now. Take one from this. Alright, hands down. I didn't come to you? Hands down. Hands down. Listen again now. You have 14 counters. Quickly, 14 counters. Let me see the first person to count out their 14 counters. Don't say anything, just raise your hand. Hands down. No. In each group, I want 7 counters in each group. 7 in each group. You have 14 counters and I want 7 in each group. Don't say me, miss, I'm coming. Where is it? The boys are a little bit noisy. Let's come some kids. How many you have?
Miss Diane.
If you got your iPad already, put your hand down. Quickly.
Miss, here's mine. You missed iPad. Miss, you check on mine.
Alright.
Miss, you didn't check mine. Miss, check mine.
I am coming, just wait. I'm seeing 3 groups. Go again. giving the boys the cards with the problem that they're going to be working out, and then I'm going to be giving the girls the answer. They're going to be standing in front of the board. Are we listening? Yes. Now, the boys are going to be given 1 minute to work out the answer. As soon as I say your time is up, you're going to stop. I'm going to be pointing on you individually to go up and find the person with the answer. You're going to be using your counters to help you. Alright? So as soon as I give you your card, you're going to say no, individually, everybody's going, all the boys are going to be getting the card. The persons who are talking are the persons who are not going to be giving any. As soon as you get your card, you start taking out the number of counters you need. Take from the person who don't need all that they have. We'll have to work in pairs because I can't find some of the cards. So we're going to be working in pairs. So the three of you work together. Both of you work together. This one, both of you work together. Come quickly now. Both of you do this one. Both of you do one. Alright, both of you work with that one. You have one. Both of you do that one. Both of you work with that one. Both of you do that one. Quickly now. Alright. You're noisy children. You didn't get one? Remember, you're working together. You're working together. So you go. Both of you do that. Alright, both of you do that one. So let's start. Let me see how many which one you got. How many you need? You're working together. Come on. How many you need? How many you need? How many you need? 10. So take out the 10. Good. How many is supposed to be in each group? No. Take out 24 again and put 3 in each group. Take out 24. 20. And you have how many in each group? many? So many. Let me see the group. Push away the ones that you don't like. This group now. Let me see what you got, Maggie. Let me see what you got on your card. Where's your 26? Alright. Boys, I'm giving you 5 more seconds. And the person who are fighting for the covers, please stop. 1, 2, 3, 4,
See that?
Alright, so first to that. Girls, stand to the front. Boys, please stop the talking now. Girls, pace yourself. It doesn't matter. Boys, fingers. Step back. I'm still hearing talking from this side. Mali? Alright. I am going to be waiting on complete.
Silence.
And I am going to be starting with Handy and Dwayne. Clap them as they go. You have to walk with the card. Me. Tell us what you got. Show us what you got on the card. Turn it around so that everybody can see. Read that now.
25
divided by 5. Yes, and what is your answer? Go and find the person with your answer. All of the cards so that they can see the answers. Chanel? Alright, Chanel, give him back the card. Yes. Now go back to your place and I am coming to check to see what you did to get that answer. So, let us question them now. How many things you needed? Persons are talking. Raquel? Let's go now. How many things they needed? How many things you needed, Dwayne?
25.
I'm speaking to Dwayne. How many things you needed? How many things Dwayne needed?
5.
How many?
25.
And how many should be in each group?
5.
Let us see. Yes? And your answer is?
5.
Give them a clap. Good. Very good. Kemar. Your time now, Kemar. It's your turn.
Take the back off.
Quickly. Wait and honey. Hold up the card.
We not see no back here.
Marine. Let us look at this one now. Read this for me.
20 divided by 4.
And he's saying 4. Is he correct?
Yes,
Is he correct?
yes.
Everybody count out 28 counters for me quickly. Yes. No, not the girls. Not the girls. Chanel.
Miss, we are 26. There's my card.
Yes, and you're grouping it. How many should be in each group now?
4.
Move with 4 in each group and see if you get 4. Do you have 4 groups?
No.
Do you have 4 groups?
Yes.
Really?
Yes. No.
Let's go again. How many again. Mali. Fingers on the lip. What do you have now? Read for me.
24 divided by 2.
Again.
24 divided by 2.
Find the person with their answer. Huh? 2. Take it. Is that correct?
No.
Is that correct? Take out 24 counters for me, everybody. Alright, listen now. Some persons are not understanding, so we're going to stop. We're going to stop the activity. I'm going to go through with you again, and then you're going to correct your answer, alright? So wait for me, girls. Thank you very much. Alright, let's go again. Remember, children, let us look here. Everybody, all eyes on the board. Stop what you're doing. Look this way. Are we looking?
Yes.
No. Let us say we got some cakes, right? We got Mali. We got 12 cakes, right? We are going to be sharing the cakes, and we're going to be giving each group 3 cakes, right? So take out 12 cakes.
12.
Yes, take out 12 cakes.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Everybody have 12 cakes?
Yes.
Very good. Now, you have your 12 cakes. We are going to be sharing our cakes, right? And in each group, we want 6 cakes. Sharing groups now. 6 cakes in each group. Once you have your answer, you raise your hand, and I'm coming around to check. I don't know. That is what I want you to tell me. Where is it? Oh, you're working together. Good. Except push these aside. Very good. Alright, the boys, please be quiet. I'm going to be checking on the girls now. Take from the person who don't need all that they have. We'll have to work in pairs because I can't find some of the cards. So we're going to be working in pairs. So the 3 of you work together. Both of you work together. This one, both of you work together. Come quickly now. Both of you do this one. Both of you do this one. Alright, both of you work with that one. How many is supposed to be in each group? And you have no, take out 24 again and put 3 in each group. Take out 24. 20. And you have how many in each group? 2. Very good.
We want to take away a few.
Where's the card you got? 34. Where's the 34? Put them in groups of how many? How many? Let me see the group. Push away the ones that you don't like. This group now, let me see what you got, Maggie. Let me see what you got on your card. Where's your 26? Alright. 1. Some of you like 2 and 3. Boys, I'm giving you 5 more seconds. And the person who are fighting for the covers, please stop. 1, 2, 3, 4,
See that?
Alright, so first to that. Girls, stand to the front. Boys, please stop the talking now. Girls, pace yourself. It doesn't matter. Boys, fingers. Step back. I'm still here talking from this side. Mali? Alright. I am going to be waiting on complete.
Silence.
And I am going to be starting with Handy and Dwayne. Clap them as they go. You have to walk with the card. Tell us what you got. Show us what you got on the card. Turn it around so that everybody can see. Read that now.
25 divided by 5.
Yes, and what is your answer? Go and find the person with your answer. All of the cards so that they can see the answers. Chanel? Alright, Chanel, give him back the card. Yes. Now go back to your place and I am coming to check to see what you did to get that answer. So, let us question them now. How many things you needed? Persons are talking. Raquel? Let's go now. How many things they needed? How many things you needed, Dwayne?
25.
I'm speaking to Dwayne. How many things you needed? How many things Dwayne needed?
5.
How many?
25.
And how many should be in each group?
5.
Let us see. Yes? And your answer is?
5.
Give them a clap. Good. Very good. Kemar. Your time now, Kemar. It's your turn.
Take the back off.
Quickly. Dwayne and Honey. Hold up the card.
We not see no back in.
Mali. Let us look at this one now. Read this for me.
20 divided by 4.
And he's saying 4. Is he correct?
Yes,
Is he correct?
yes.
Everybody count out 28 counters for me quickly. Yes. No, not the girls. Not the girls.
If we have 20, I have 26. It's my academy.
Yes, have you broken it? How many should be in each group now? 4. Who put 4 in each group and see if you get 4? Do you have 4 groups?
No.
Do you have 4 groups?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Let's go again. How many counters do you have?
28.
How many in each group?
4.
How many groups do you have?
6.
So is he correct?
No.
No, he's not. Alright, see?
20.
Come on and shine.
Clap them.
Sit. Step back.
Don't clap them. You don't stop.
Alright. Fingers on your lips again. Mali. Fingers on the lips. What do you have now? Read for me.
24 divided by 2.
Again.
24 divided by 2.
Find the person with their answer. Huh? 2? Take it. Is that correct?
No.
Is that correct? Take out 24 counters for me, everybody.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
Alright, listen now. Some persons are not understanding, so we're going to stop. We're going to stop the activity. I'm going to go through with you again, and then you're going to correct your answer, alright? So wait for me, girls. Thank you very much. Alright, let's go again. Remember, children, let us look here. Everybody, all eyes on the board. Stop what you're doing. Look this way. Are we looking?
Yes.
No. Let us say we got some cakes, right? We got Malik. We got 12 cakes, right? We are going to be sharing the cakes, and we are going to be giving each group 3 cakes, right? So take out 12 cakes.
12.
Yes, take out 12 cakes.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Everybody have 12 cakes?
Yes.
Very good. Now, you have your 12 cakes. We are going to be sharing our cakes, right? And in each group, we want 6 cakes. Sharing groups now. 6 cakes in each group. Once you have your answer, you raise your hand, and I'm coming around to check. I don't know. That is what I want you to tell Separate the counters. Just separate them. I don't know what you have. Let me see what you have handy. Very good. Where is it? Oh, you're working together. Good. Therefore, push these aside. Very good.
Good afternoon, Miss Lindsay. Good afternoon, Mrs. Beecher. Here we are again in another situation. This time we are going to be having what we call the post-conference.
It's a sort of feedback as to what happened. You look somewhat nervous. But Miss Lindsay, no need to be nervous. I am not here to tear down anything. We will discuss the purpose of it, but before we do, I want to say to you that you have a very lovely classroom.
Thank you.
Your classroom is print rich. And it's really a place that children would want to be or should want to be. Because if I were a child, I would really want to be in this classroom. And for somebody looking on, it will tell them that something is happening inside here. So I really like your classroom.
Thank you.
Yes. The purpose, Miss Lindsay, of this meeting, this conference, is for us to look at what happened in the lesson on Tuesday. Just Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday, good. So look at the lesson that you taught on Monday and to look at avenue for improvement, ways in which we can improve. Alright, so it's nothing to worry about. Just relax. I want to be as open as possible and I want for you to be the same with me. Alright? Okay, so having gotten that out of the way, let us begin. Ready? Good. Now my first question having to do with your lesson. I want a general thing. I'm not looking at the negatives nor the positives, just a general thing as to how you think your lesson went.
The lesson was good in my perspective. I think there are areas that could be improved. The first thing is the introduction.
Just give me the general thing.
Yes.
The general.
The introduction got students very excited as to what they were about to do or about to learn. So it basically grabbed their attention. They were actively involved throughout the lessons. They had things doing from start to finish. So they were pretty much involved in the lesson. And that is very important because for a set of students that are mainly tactile learners, to keep them going is always the most important thing to do, because if they are not involved, they can be very distracted, or they'll find other things to do and maybe disrupt other class. Yes, sometimes when they have things to do, they still find way to disturb others. But I think it's good when you have an interactive lesson where they are actually in control of their learning.
Thank you, Miss Lindsay. Now for the specifics, right? What is your perception of the positives of your lesson?
It was very engaging. Engaging as in the students were very involved, actively involved in the lesson. They wanted to learn. It was evident that they wanted to learn.
Thank you, Miss Lindsay. That was the general aspect of the lesson. Now to the specifics, right? What is your perception of the positives of your lesson?
The lesson was very interactive. The students were able to manipulate and move around with different objects. They were in control of their learning, not the teacher providing everything or telling them everything. They were moving about the counters in order to find out their own answers. And in the assessment, it was evident that they have learned based on what was done. They were grouping or sharing their counters. They were going around, even though there were times when they were a bit out of control, but they were actually involved in whatever was going on. They were involved in the introductory activity. They were there trying to figure out letters in order to find out what the day's topic is about.
Okay. All right, so that was the positive. In your perspective, did you have negatives?
Yes.
What were they?
The students were, the behavior, the overall behavior was poor. They were fighting for the counters. They were up and about even during different instructions. They didn't follow instructions clearly. They didn't listen. Some of them were doing other things rather than sharing with the counters. They found ways to fight and to use the counters to make other things. Also, some of them, they were fighting and a number of things they were doing, and that maybe impacted in the activity they didn't do as well. And therefore I had to go over everything again in order for them to get a better understanding. Therefore I had to take out one of the activities that I had planned. I had to scrap the group activity because based on the paired activity, it didn't go according to plan, so I had to reteach or go through again. Therefore there wasn't enough time to go to the group activity.
Alright, so I have listened to the children aspect of it. What do you think about your strategy or strategies that you have used? What do you think about you now?
I think the question and answer strategy or technique that I've been using, I think I need to revisit it.
Why? Why would you say revisit?
I have been doing a little bit of researching, and because I'm having some behavioral problem with my students, so I went ahead and I did a little researching, and what I came across is that the question and answer strategy is not a very good strategy to use, because the children who are unable to answer the question during that period, they're going to be doing other things, so they can disrupt whatever is going on. So if I ask a question and they are not able to answer the question, they are going to find the lesson boring. They are not going to be interested in whatever is going on. So I need to revisit and use another strategy. Also, maybe I should have given clearer instructions.
Alright. Now you did say that you think they learned. What evidence you have to prove that they have learned?
Well, apart from the observation, because what I try to do, it's a lot of children, so what I try to do, I try to go around and do a little observation. But along with the observation, I gave assessment. I have groups, therefore 2 different assessments were given. The one assessment catered mainly for the visual learners. They were
the visual?
Yes,
right.
ma'am.
So this is one child's work.
Yes, ma'am.
So a child was given 5 questions, and this child has gotten everything.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Any other? This is another one.
Yes, from the same group.
Okay.
No, this is from another group.
Oh, this
one
is it.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So this child had to show grouping.
Yes. This is from the first group. Majority of them got all correct, with a few getting maybe 1 or 2 incorrect.
Okay, so it was understood. So you think your objectives were met, all the objectives you have? All right. Yes, I have seen samples of the work, which shows me that they understood based on what I am seeing here. So are you now saying that your objectives were met? Were all your objectives met?
No, all objectives weren't met. I had to modify some of my objectives as I go along. One such objective was our goal was for children to be able to do division in general. However,
problem solving you're talking about
in general, I had it for the general, but I had
a little on the general thing.
To be able to divide any number given.
Any number, so it could be like a 3-digit number.
In a 3-digit. But I modified that and I changed it to mainly 2-digit or single digit.
Okay.
Or single digit. Because I was of the impression that if I for the introductory lesson on division, it would be possible for students to go ahead and do 3-digit, knowing that they have just been introduced.
Oh, this was
to the
their first lesson?
Yes, it was.
Okay, it was good for our first lesson in my assumption. Right? Okay. So it means that in planning, you were a little ahead of time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you did the modification. Alright, anything else you wish to say? So I've seen your evidence and you have told me that you have made changes.
And also for the group activity that I had to take out, that was also in my objective, and I had to take out that one also complete because of the time. Plan. Yes, there was a group activity that for that activity, what the students are actually going to do, each group will be given a sheet of paper. That paper would have a question.
Okay.
One, they'll be given, for example, they'll be given a number, and the question will have different parts. So, for example, it will say 20. John had 20 marbles, so they'll have to show the 20 marbles. For the second part, share the marbles for the number of persons in the group. So the questions will vary according to the number of persons in that group. Then they will have to share and show working according to how it is being shared. However, it would be written problem solving, not just with numbers, but problem solving, and they'll have to use objects to show whatever it is that they are sharing.
Okay, so that tells me that when you're planning, you need to think about the lesson that you are doing, the student you are working with, and whether it's a first time lesson, you need to understand where you are with the children.
Yes.
All right.
And also time.
Right.
The duration.
Okay. All right, not bad so far. So you have altered some things. Now, suppose you were given this opportunity to teach the same set of children the lesson again. Is there anything that you would have done differently?
Definitely. I would definitely outline my objectives to my students. Students must have whatever it is that you want for them to teach them.
I am glad you mentioned that, because that was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about. Because I noticed you started the lesson without saying to the children what it is that they should learn today, what you want for them to learn. So I'm glad that you picked up on that.
Because of the video, and I was a little bit nervous. I was there trying to get my things together, and so I just went ahead and did not clearly outline my objectives to my students. And normally when I'm teaching, that is the first thing. Students need to know why they are being taught this and what is the benefit, what benefits it has.
Very good, very good. I am pleased. I am pleased, because that was one of the things I looked at as the negative. But now that you have mentioned, I realize that it's not out of your mind, but just for the moment, according to the video thing.
Yes.
All right. Okay, good. Now, Miss Lindsay, I did tell you that I was going to do data collection, and in our pre-conference, we talked about the focus of the lesson. You remember we said we were going to look at strategies as one as also the classroom environment. Good. And you have a beautiful thing here for the environment. I realized that the children were not afraid of teacher. They saw teacher as just another person. They were quite open with you. And that is good. That is really good. But although those were the two things that I had planned to look at, and we had planned to look at, based on what I saw in the lesson, I could not do without looking at I had to really look at the children's behavior. And I focus a lot on the children's behavior. So, I am going to be honest with you. I did a lot of work on their behavior in the sense of collecting information on them, where the behavior is concerned. And this is what I came up with. Yes, Miss Lindsay, I tried to put the children's behavior in a different perspective. And I want us to look at this. This is what I call a bar graph. Now, I looked at different kinds of behavior that were shown throughout your lesson. One was lifting of the desktop, and you had a little boy around the back here who lift, but it was done just one time, right? So if you notice, I have here the lift the desktop. Look at the graph and you will see it. Nothing much to speak about because it was done just one time. And then we have pulling of chairs. That was done about 6 times or thereabout. But if you look at the graph, it will tell you, you know. Then my major concern was the talking out in the class. While the lesson was going on, you had quite a number of them speaking out. And to be honest, this is where it is on my graph, which is saying I heard them speaking out of term about 60 times. But to be honest, because I was looking at other things, I think it is more than 60 times. You agree with me?
Yes, I will agree.
Yes. So look at that. And then I went on to look at those who were out of their seats. How many times children got out of their seats to do different things. Some were going to you and other things. And this is where it is on the graph. It is above 10 times we had movement within that half an hour. So it's somewhere 15, 16 times persons move within the half an hour. And then the last thing I'm going to look at with you is name calling. We have one student who calls somebody a name there, 2 little funny names. Not their names, you know.
Yes, I understand.
You know, those little name calling thing twice during the lesson. No, for me, this is cause for concern. What do you think?
I agree.
You agree with me?
I agree.
And then I didn't just do it here. I wanted to do it on the pie chart because we're looking at the session here. We're looking at the 30 minutes that I was inside here for. And here again you have, say I do the key down here. This red area here talks about the time when the children got out of their seats, you know. Look at the fraction there of it, the thing. It was about 6%. Then we had 1% showing the time that the child lift the desk. Small, nothing much to worry about. Then, this is what now? 3%. Time that name calling went on. 18% of it was the pulling of the chair. But look at this big area here. This is 72% of the time within a half an hour the children were speaking out of turn. All right? What does this say to you? I want to hear from you as to what does this say to you as the teacher.
The children have serious behavioral problems. And I've tried to alleviate the problem by using various strategies. So far, it has worked for a few of them. I'm still continuing with my research, trying other ways in order to alleviate the problem fully. I have to use incentive charts where students
Where you have the chart up there now?
It was destroyed by the students.
Right, so
it was placed right at the front.
So it means that it is not there. So it is not being used now.
Yes.
So one of the things, Miss Lindsay, when we are trying to correct a behavior, we have to be consistent. Agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Very key that we are consistent with what we are doing. As you will get them to behave, but once you don't bother with it, then the behavior will go right back to square one.
Yes. What I did with the incentive chart, because it wasn't working as effectively as I thought it would have, and the damage chart, I didn't replace it. I started using a freeze method. So as soon as they're talking, and I realized that they're getting out of control, I'd say freeze. The person who I catch talking at that time, I'll give that person a question. If they can answer the question, I give them like a little pencil or an eraser or something. Something a little in order to encourage them.
But you realize that having this before you, Miss Bonfield, it's really not working.
Yes, miss.
So it means that we have to try other methods, right? So, and just maybe if the behavior chart was there, and you really use it on a daily basis, and they see the star chart, and so they will be getting their stars, and you encourage them as they go from day to day, possible. Another thing that I would suggest you will use is eye contact. You understand me? Because one of the things I observed is that they were talking, but I think based on my diagram here, the number of times that you corrected them was about 3 times you said to them, don't shout. You understand me? And about 2 times you spoke with the boys. The boys, you're a little noisy, something to that effect. The girls were noisy, talking to, I guess because your class has a lot of boys, then you really looked at the boys. And one time you referred to the activity, that you are noisy, so something about put your hand up on, remember that aspect of it? Yes, and they kept quiet for a while? Yes. But when we really look at this, it means that we have to think about how we are really going to manage the behavior here. And so I think if you work with eye contact, that can be a very effective strategy. But you have to explain to them, they have to understand, what you are doing when you do certain things, what it means.
I used it a little during the lesson for some of them. I did.
You did? All right, and you think it worked?
For some of them, but for majority it didn't. It worked mainly for the girls.
Okay. Well, we're going to get back to that a little later as we look at what we can do. So I don't want to get in too deep into it now, because we're going to look at something else that might work. All right. When it comes on to your lesson, because we said classroom behavior, and we've been looking at your behavior with the children, right? I noticed that you praise the children. There were times when you praised them, and words came out as very good. I heard very good, and I heard good, which was good, for them to hear those words coming from the teacher. All right? Another thing that you did, it wasn't verbal, non-verbal. You had the high five thing, and everybody who had something correct got their high five, and I noticed they were very pleased with it. So that worked, and it is very good. There were times when you use a clapping method, where you allow the children to clap, and that was also good.
To create the problem fully, I have to use insert incentive charts where students
Where you have the chart up there now?
It was destroyed by the students.
Right, so
it was placed right at the front.
So it means that it is not there. So it is not being used now.
Yes.
So one of the things, Miss Lindsay, when we are trying to correct a behavior, we have to be consistent. Agree with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Very key that we are consistent with what we are doing. And so you will get them to behave, but once you don't bother with it, then the behavior will go right back to square one.
Yes. What I did with the incentive chart, because it wasn't working as effectively as I thought it would have, and the damage chart, I didn't replace it. I started using a freeze method. So as soon as they're talking, and I realized that they're getting out of control, I'd say freeze. The person who I catch talking at that time, I'll give that person a question. If they can answer the question, I give them like a little pencil or an eraser or something. Something a little in order to encourage them.
But you realize that having this before you, Miss Bonfield, it's really not working.
Yes.
So it means that we have to try other methods, right? So, and just maybe if the behavior chart was there, and you really use it on a daily basis, and they see the star chart, and so they will be getting their stars, and you encourage them as they go from day to day, possible. Another thing that I would suggest you will use is eye contact. You understand me? Because one of the things I observed is that they were talking. But I think based on my diagram here, the number of times that you corrected them was about 3 times you said to them, don't shout. Understand me? And about 2 times you spoke with the boys. The boys, you're a little noisy, something to that effect. The girls were noisy, talking to, I guess because your class has a lot of boys, then you really looked at the boys. And one time you refer to the activity, that you are noisy, so something about put your hand up on, you remember that aspect of it? Yes, and they kept quiet for a while? Yes. But when we really look at this, it means that we have to think about how we are really going to manage the behavior here. And so I think if you work with eye contact, that can be a very effective strategy. But you have to explain to them, they have to understand, what you are doing when you do certain things, what it means.
I used it a little during the lesson for some of them. I did.
You did? All right, and you think it worked?
For some of them, but for majority it didn't. It worked mainly for the girls.
Okay. Well, we're going to get back to that a little later as we look at what we can do. So I don't want to get in too deep into it now, because we're going to look at something else that might work. All right. When it comes on to your lesson, because we said classroom behavior, and we've been looking at your behavior with the children, right? I noticed that you praise the children. There were times when you praised them, and words came out as very good. I heard very good, and I heard good, which was good, for them to hear those words coming from the teacher. All right? Another thing that you did, it wasn't verbal, non-verbal. You had the high five thing, and everybody who had something correct got their high five. And I noticed they were very pleased with it. So that worked, and it is very good. There were times when you use the clapping method, where you allow the children to clap, and that was also good. All right? Use activities hands-on, good, that was there. Provide frequent, feedback. As I said, you move around the groups. You move around and you let them know where they were going right and that sort of thing, except for the cases when the few wrong answers came up and you did not attend to them. All right? So that wasn't bad. You create a classroom environment which is comfortable for students. Yes, I have that there as a plus. And also, the focus of the lesson, the objectives. I noticed though in your lesson there was something there about problem solving which you did not get into. And I was hoping that in the assessment you wouldn't have given them it so straight, eh?
Okay.
Having taught them and you realize, okay, they got this. I would have liked to see you put it in problem form now.
Yes.
To really see if they get it, or is it just being there with them at the moment. What you think?
Yes, that is true. And I also use it in the orals when I was selling them cakes. I said somebody bought 20 cakes and you shared it. But I should have incorporated it in the assessment. Yes.
Yes.
If
it would have been good.
If even I didn't do it for all, for the faster group, that I'm sure that I've gotten the concept.
No man, the thing about it, remember, you do the assessment, you grade the assessment. So you could have said to the ones that you claim are faster, that's it. When you give them like say 20, mark at 20 so and so. He shared it equally for 5 students. For the slower ones that you call slower, be very careful how you label them. You could say to them, all right, you have 8 mangoes, single digit.
Yes.
And let them work with that, and you'd really understand whether or not they grasp.
Then they wouldn't feel different because everybody is getting the same thing. It's just the numbers that would.
Yes, and it would give you a clearer understanding if they really grasp the concept. Because sometimes this is not their problem. When you put it in worded form, you realize that they don't fully understand. So that would have been a plus for you. Alright? Okay. Now, I think we want to get back to the behavior thing because that is my main concern. Apart from the fact that I would really like for you to do the grouping, get the grouping going so that they can learn from each other. Once it is well organized, the behavior is where I think I want us to come up now with a goal, with a plan, something to put in action. Because if the behavior, you can manage your class well, then the learning, it will boost the learning, don't you think? So we now need to come up with something that will help us, you know, to drive instruction. Alright? Now I want to make a suggestion. What do you think? Let me give you a few and you think about it. How about doing a contract with the children? A formal contract. So you say to them, okay children, I know you're a noisy set of children. The behavior is not what I want it to be, but I want to come up with a contract. It is going to be written. You will have to sign it and you tell them about contract, you know. You don't break this sort of thing, it has consequences and you get the parents involved. But you can come up with something now and just put in ideas. Okay. And you come up with this contract, they sign it, the parents can sign too, but it must be something what? Meaningful, that will change the what? The behavior. So that is something you can think about. That is one I am suggesting. You can also have them monitor their own behavior. You know, how many you have tried that?
And it has worked.
How have you done it?
Was I assign a leader for each group?
No, individual. Individual student monitor their own behavior, so they're responsible. They could maybe have a book there where they talk how many times I talk today, you know, and see if the next day it reduces, and of course you could. It doesn't have to be anything tangible. Maybe the praise, you know, the other forms. Yes. Good. Let me see what else we could do. I don't think the classroom environment is good. And yes, at times you have to really move around to the students so you hear talking. Sometimes it's non-verbal. Maybe just grab a hand or touch a shoulder. You don't say a word. But it means something to them. It says to them, I am off track. And so I need to do something. I have given you maybe 3 things. Is there any that you think you want to take up and set a goal for it and put it in place?
I definitely think I'm going to work with the one where they write the number of times they talk. I think that one is very interesting, and what I could probably do is like have a little chart in the class where they will write how many, or maybe what I could do is give each of them a sheet of paper and I collect it in the evening, so after each day I'll sign to it. Okay. So say they talk 5 times, at the end of the day I'll put a little signature to it, so they know that this is for today, and then tomorrow I do the same thing. So I'll then compare.
It couldn't be just like that. Remember now, you will have to let the children understand what is happening.
Yes.
And for them to see what? The behavior pattern what? It can't be the same, huh?
Yes.
There must be some reduction in the behavior. Yes. You may also need to think, and I suggest, just suggestion, that you think about contract. Because contract can be very good. Very good. But I'll go along with you for the time being with the one having to do with the monitoring their own behavior. But of course, you know, you have to discuss it with them, what it is all about. Alright? So, what is the goal now that you think you're set for the next time?
For the behavior or general?
Behavior, and you can tell me about the general.
So, display positive attitude towards learning
for the students.
Yes, as well as to, I said, display positive attitude, or to show appropriate behavior for different situations. In terms of the outburst, to control themselves, as in no outbursts during or raising your hand when they wish to speak and so on. And maybe I also need to put a chart inside here with class rules.
Is it that you have never had one?
We just discussed them. I
So
didn't
maybe
have
you
one
should have
written.
had it in writing.
Yes,
Good,
yes,
good.
definitely.
So that is true. So that they own it.
Yes.
Yes.
And maybe what I can do is have them making the rule in their group. So their handwriting will be on the chart. So maybe I'll have each group providing 2 rules. I look at them to see if they're the same. If they're not the same, then one person from the group will write the. So it will not be the teacher's rule. It
but
will
of
be
course
their
you have
rule.
to monitor them,
Yes,
huh?
definitely.
Right, yes. But you want to put their handwriting there too.
Yes.
So then it's more reason to own the
Yes.
rules of the class.
Definitely.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea. And that should help. That should help to control, to help you to manage the class better. Miss Lindsay, when can I come back and observe you to see if you have put these things that we have discussed in place?
You can give me about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
Yes, miss.
Okay, so you'll definitely see me, and I want to thank you so very much for participating.
And
I really do appreciate it.
And thank you too. Thank you very, very much. I've learned a lot during this, and I'm sure you will see results.
I am good. I am happy for that. I am happy for that. All right, thank you again very much.